To the City of River Falls Municipal Utility Advisory Board meeting for Monday, December 12th, 2022. Mike, could we have a roll call, please?
Carol? Gerald? Here. Klecker?
Here.
Lick?
Here.
Spafford?
Here.
Thum?
Here.
Wells Mangold?
Here. So next, looking for approval of the minutes from both October 17th, 2022 and November 2nd, 2022. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? I actually had one. Sorry, Mike. For the October 17th, it was noted that I was the chair of that meeting. It was actually Mr. Spafford because I was virtual. So if we could make that change.
Okay. Duly noted.
Any further discussion? All those in favor with the one amended change, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Do we have anyone for public comment tonight? You can sing Christmas carols or something. No, not tonight. Next, looking for approval of the consent agenda from the West Central Wisconsin Biosolids Facility Commission meeting on October 10th and November 20th. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on those minutes? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as is, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nope.
Reports. Mike.
Tonight we have Dean Seamuth talking to us tonight, Superintendent of Water and Wastewater. He'll be talking about the North Interceptor. Excuse me. Todd will be doing that, our city engineer.
Utility Director Westhouse wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it tonight, and he was not apparently able to make it tonight. So he asked me to kind of talk about the North Interceptor sewer lining project, which was put out to bid recently. But also before that, kind of give you an annual end-of-year recap about the work we did in 2022. And we did do a lot of work in 2022. So just from the top of the list, the first project that we started was actually late 2021, which was the North Interceptor sewer. Most of you are probably aware that project is done. It's substantially complete. We are, withholding a little bit of payment, a tiny little bit of payment from the contractor to make sure that grass grows in the spring and the erosion control is removed. But that was a really big project that feels really good to have done. We also completed the Troy Pomeroy water main relocation. Smaller project, but kind of added a little bit of fun this spring. You're aware we're under contract with Phoenix Fabricators for the North Water Tower. They currently have finished the water transmission main from Highland Drive up to the water tower site. They've rebuilt the gravel access road, and they have poured the concrete foundation and completed the backfilling around the concrete foundation, and are probably not going to be on site again until March or so. But we are making some pretty good progress there. And you're also aware that the North Water Loop project was awarded to Total Excavating. They were the low bidder. That project probably won't start until spring as well. Couple of utility relocations, not our utility relocations, but a couple of telecom utility relocations are going to occur within the next couple of weeks before Total gets there. And we did already start that project with about $166,000 negative change order because we, the contractor proposed that they open cut across Paulson Road instead of directionally drilling across Paulson Road. The directional drill costs came in really high. So anything can happen in construction, but we're hoping that sets us up to finalize that project under budget towards the end of 2023. Kevin did want me to mention that the North Interceptor Sewer Project, we of that 2.9, about $2.9 million project, we are expecting to close out that project at about 2.8, so $100,000 or so under budget. And that was primarily due to some elimination of some pavement replacement that we didn't need to replace. So it was good to knock over budget on a project, especially one of the first projects that I was involved in as city engineer. Which leads us to the North Interceptor project, the North Interceptor lining project. The other thing we're going to do is not start every single project's name with North, because I get them really confused. But the North Interceptor lining project, if I can turn the air photo on if you'd like, but the North Interceptor sewer started at this manhole and went up here and all the way to the north. The North Interceptor sewer is this whole reach, and we had always been planning to line that sewer, which is a 15-inch sanitary sewer, from approximately this manhole south into this manhole, which is the last stretch that we have not lined of the Lemeti Interceptor sewer. So we proceeded with plan, put this project out to bid. We already did some clearing and grubbing in preparation for it in this area here. And the bid prices came back from, we had two responsive bidders. There was in situ sewer, or Visu Sewer and in situ form. Those are kind of two well-known sewer lining companies. Our estimate was $236,000, which was right about what we had budgeted for. The numbers came back at, let's see, Kevin gave me some notes. I'll make sure I use the right numbers here. The numbers came back at $403,000 and $541,000. So the low bidder was almost double what our estimate was and what he has in his budget to accommodate. So one of the concerns with that pipe is that it is a 15-inch pipe. We knew the plan was to line it and assume that 15-inch pipe was gonna last for 10 to 20 years before it runs out of hydraulic capacity. But what's happened in the past 6 months is that we received GDP applications for approximately 500 residential units up in that newly annexed Thompson property on the very north end of Paulson Road. So before we go and spend a bunch of money on lining the sewer, we want to make sure that the 15-inch sewer, if we line it, it's going to last for 20 years, and we don't spend $500,000 on lining it and then replace it with a brand new sewer in 5 years. Because if you recall, the new North Interceptor sewer project is a 21-inch pipe. So there's this big 21 dumping into this 15, which might be good for 20 years, but the city is also currently in the middle of finalizing the comprehensive plan update. So we are going to take the comprehensive plan update and use that as an input to the CIP project to update our water and sewer service area. Using that info, we are going to determine if we line that 15-inch sewer, how long it will last. So we'll be able to more accurately project wastewater flows 20 years into the future from the comprehensive plan update. And then we'll come back to this group and say, it's only going to last 5 years. We recommend planning and budgeting for a complete sewer replacement, or, hopefully we can say it's going to last 20 years and let's line it. I'm going to show you. It is a really. This is the pipe, and this is some sewer televising that was done in 2019, I think. So this is the sewer camera that runs up the inside of the pipe. This pipe is all underground water, so you can see that this old clay tile pipe, which is from, I think, 1971 was its installation date. Almost, not all the joints, but many of the gaskets at the joints have failed, which is causing, groundwater to enter the sanitary sewer, and then it flows down to the treatment plant, and Dean has to treat it. So there is some additional costs associated with treating that additional water. And it is, technically pretty clean water that we're sending down to the treatment plant. So,
Todd,
yes.
thinking of the the expansion plans and everything to the north, Man Valley and that corporate park that's going on out there, how does that play into all of this as well?
The Man Valley Corporate Park will not drain to the treatment plant through this interceptor.
Okay.
So here I can actually,
Is there a concern moving forward though for that? I mean, when that builds out and grows and everything, and the city starts to grow out that way, I mean, is that also?
that will take into, when we do the sanitary service update, the service area update, we will look overall at where the city thinks that growth is going to happen, and how and if the wastewater treatment plant can handle that load. So,
I mean, the city's growing in every direction. So
yeah, and this is, so if I scroll way out, this is it's a pretty large sanitary sewer service area that heads through this what is called the Lameti Interceptor. Just turn on the air photo. It might take a second here, but in general, all of the growth to the north drains through this north interceptor pipe that we just replaced, and also portions of which the initial plan was to line. If our comprehensive plan, which council will see sometime this spring for, I mean, they've seen it, of course, but I think adoption is expected sometime this spring, then we'll be able to do a pretty good job forecasting how and if that 15-inch sewer can hydraulically move the water down to the wastewater treatment plant. Whether or not, when the wastewater treatment plant hits its capacity limit, its hydraulic capacity limit is another story. I think Dean's pretty comfortable with the actual biologic load that the wastewater treatment plant can handle. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dean, but we're going to hit some hydraulic limitations before we actually are unable to physically treat the waste, just move the water through the system.
What do you mean by hydraulic limitation?
As wastewater flows to the plant, there's pumps that lift it through, and I'm not as good as I haven't spent as much time as the wastewater treatment plant as I would like to have, but I did used to be kind of a wastewater geek about a decade ago. But as wastewater gets to the plant, there's pumps that lift it up, and those pumps are sized for a certain flow, and then the wastewater flows through a screen, and that screen is hydraulically sized for a certain flow, and then it flows to the oxidation ditch and ultimately to some clarifiers and everything. There's two major things you look at for a wastewater treatment plant. There's the hydraulic capacity and the biological treatment capacity. So the hydraulic capacity is, can the pumps physically pump all the water that's coming to the plant up through the processes? Can the screens physically screen all that sewage that is coming through the treatment plant? And are the clarifiers big enough to settle all the solids that may come through the process? You're welcome. So that's this kind of our plan is to update our sanitary sewer service area planning, which will include looking at this interceptor to determine if it can hydraulically handle planned growth for the next 20 years. And if it can't handle planned growth, then we will likely look at getting this sewer replacement project on CIP. If it can handle future growth, then we expect to come back to this group and proceed with a lining project later, or I mean, I should say sometime in early to mid 2023.
You may have just answered my question. You guys look out how many years?
We're looking at about 20 years.
20 years, and then, so you oversize to whatever you need for 20 years projection?
That's kind of the goal.
Okay, thanks.
So if you don't have any other questions, Dean wants to talk about our other big project, the Biosolids project. If you have any questions about any of our infrastructure or underground water sewer projects, you know, Dean can always answer those, but feel free to reach out to me too. Oh, sorry, Dean. I'll go back.
Wanted me to talk about the dryer project for you guys. So, what you have in front of you is a map. On the back of the map is a drawing of what they anticipate, what they plan on doing. Met with Strand 2 weeks ago. This is like a 5% plan. This is just way early. We met with them it was 2 weeks ago, and we met about picking the equipment we're going to use for our dryer project. And what we came up with is we're going to use, if you have this sheet with the costs, we're going to go with the screw press. You can see that's the least cost-wise. And we feel it'll be the best. Screw press is a real low RPM. Not a lot of maintenance, and it'll dewater just as well as a centrifuge, which is a high RPM, fast spinning. And we just feel it'll be better maintenance wise to go with the screw press rather than have all those high speed bearings and stuff to worry about. So that's why we're going with that one. The cost helps too. And then we are going with the BCR IC 800. It's the smaller dryer. At our current flow, we would probably have to run our dryer 3 to 4 days a week. It'd be a 24-hour. We'll probably start it on Monday morning and run through Thursday. That gives us some capacity for expansion and more flow. But we don't feel we'll be up to talking with Strand. We should be good with that for at least 20 years of growth, because we can run it 7 days a week, 6 days a week, whatever. We have people come in on weekends, so we're staffed, and it basically runs itself once it's set and running. So if we need to run it more, we can. So that's why we feel the savings with the cost is better for us now than, possibly if we had to add a second dryer in 15 years, that we feel better doing it this way. The one we saw in the Dells was the bigger one, the 1800. But we don't have their max capacity or their max flow in the summer is ridiculously high. So they had to size it for that, where we don't have to size it for that. We're pretty much steady. The other thing is we're going to try and do is, if you can see, I drew on that map a little bit, but we're going to go with a silo outside. We talked about the bagger system. The cost is about the same for the silo as the bagger system. The problem we were looking into is, you've seen the bags. When you get a bag, you got a one ton bag. we can load it into something for people, but how are they gonna deal with it when they get it to where they're going? So we're gonna have a silo with a chute that if you wanna come with a pickup and pick up a load of dirt, you just pull under it and we'll fill your truck. Or we're gonna get some other things where we could fill 55-gallon barrel or a 5-gallon pail. That's the plan for now. That's why we chose a silo. Cost wise, it should be about the same. We'll have 2 weeks of storage in the silo. The wintertime, we'll have to determine what we're gonna do as far as storage. We haven't determined that yet because we won't be able to give it away. We're hoping maybe the college will have storage on their farm where they might wanna haul some to have. Or we're not talking, this is gonna be like a dump truck a week. So you're not gonna have this big heaping pile of dirt. So we can store it with our compost. Mike Stifters said that. We have plenty of options, but we haven't nailed one down. So this is, like I said, it's about a 5%. Yep.
Just about the silo, can this stuff just be stored in the open air?
Yep.
On a slab or something? Does it need containment?
No, it does not.
Okay.
The reason we're going with the silo is that'll contain, like when we're working with it throughout the summer, it keeps the dust. We could just throw it on a slab and haul it when we want it. This will keep it cleaner and less dust control. That's the main reason for the silo.
So during the winter, can it just be stored on
You can
slab?
store it outside, yeah. We would like to have something covered so it's not just sitting there, but yeah, you can store it outside and not according to our engine, not according to Strand. They said, yeah, you can. We thought the same thing, but we do plan on covering it. Try not to turn it into a big ball of mush, but.
And then you said it could be stored down on the compost possibly?
Possibly, yeah. Mike Stifter said that would be fine with him, so we could just put it in with them. Ideally, we're looking to maybe when we build this, put a slab down, just put one of those covers, now no sides or anything, and keep the moisture off of it for the winter. But like, hopefully we were thinking that the farm might have a place to store it out there, so I don't know what they have out there, but that's a possibility.
So is it just augered? Is it augerable or
Yep.
pumpable? Or
So that's what it'll do. It'll auger out of the dryer onto a conveyor and then go into the silo, and then we'll convey it out. It's sand is basically what it is. It's a little more coarse than sand, but that's what it is. You were there, right? They saw it. It's just a sand product. Basically, that's what it looked like, was sand.
So on a slab, you gotta have machinery or a shovel.
Yes, and we do have machinery now, but yes. It won't be a shovel. I guarantee you it won't be a shovel. Yep. And if, like, with talking with the college, they'll come down with their spreader, and we'll just pour it in there, and they'll take it to the farm and spread it. And so that's the plan anyway. So the storage for the winter, though, that's kind of what we are looking into for now. That was if we wanted a bigger silo, the cost would be so expensive that it would. It's expensive because you have to have the explosion proof, so you got to have the nitrogen. It's quite a bit to it. It's not just throwing it in a silo and going away, which would be nice. Also, if you see on your thing I gave you, the map, we're going to go with a new building over in this area. The reason for that was talking with Strand, they were going to retrofit this building right here. That's our current DAF building. They were going to build out the back. And their concern is once they start trying to retrofit, the cost is gonna be way more than just to put a new building. We're just gonna go with a, what did we call it, a dressed up pole shed. So we're not gonna go with a concrete building like the rest of the facility. We're gonna go with a pole shed with some block around the bottom and make it look a little nicer than just a basic pole shed. And that's where the all that on the back will be, the drawing of all the dryers. And you can see on that drawing, there will be room for addition if we need to add another screw press or another dryer, or in the future, we'll be set up to add what we need. And with keeping the DAFT, so we're gonna keep the DAFT, and that will actually raise our solids going into the screw press, which will make that run more efficient and get it drier before it goes to the dryer, which make that run more efficient. So instead of putting 1% into the screw press, we'll put 4% in there, 4% solids. So that'll save in that aspect. And we should have final plans in the spring, and it should go to bid early summer. So that's our schedule and our plans. Any questions?
Dean, what's your source of heat then for the dryer?
It'll be natural gas.
Thank you.
You may have said this, but I missed it. Is the silo going to be self-service, or does that need somebody, like somebody comes up and wants a truckload?
I don't know. I'm sure we'll have to have somebody do it. I'm guessing if we get to like where the UW is taking several loads a day, we can show them how to run it. But if you wanted to come and get a bucket of dirt, we'll do it for you. So I was up deer hunting and I got an idea. They put their corn in a silo, and then if you come with a truck, they have a bin that they put on a forklift, and it goes right over the back box of your truck, and there's a lever on there that runs the corn into your buckets. And I was like, that'd probably work for our dryer. So that's something I'm looking into finding.
I'm happy
Pretty
to hear,
excited
I'm happy
about
to hear
it.
about the silo.
What's that?
I'm happy to hear about the silo after seeing what they had at the Dells and thinking about how we were going to get that material to the people who want it. I'm happy to hear
Yeah,
that.
that was something that actually Biosolids was talking about it at one of their meetings in Ellsworth, and they were like, how are we going to handle all these bags if we get a bagger? And Kevin's like, hey, we don't want to get a bagger. Maybe we want to do something different. So, and originally we thought the silo was going to be way more expensive, but as it turns out, it's about apples to apples as far as the cost goes. So that's, yeah, we're pretty excited about it down there. They did come and do all the soil boring, so last week, so we're ready they'll let us know by the end of the year if we can actually build the building there, but I'm sure it's fine.
Do you know, Dean, or Todd, when do we end our, with West Central? When do
2025.
that's when we end with them?
Yep. December 31st, 2025. This should be up and running June of 2025.
Okay.
Is it on that sheet? So the dryer itself is like 62 weeks or something before we can get it. So that's out there. I'm sure we'll get our building built next summer, or close to it. But it's going to be the equipment's, it's ridiculous. So just like everything else.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yep. Anything else? Excellent. Done with this one? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Mike, other reports? All right, so we'll go through the financial reports. The electric that I believe you have in front of you, year-to-date revenue of $254,245. Moving to water, there were a couple of discrepancies on here. One is under transmission, there was the water tower that was actually to be in the CIP, but landed in here. So that will be changed, and that that water tower cost was $591,976.35. So you'll see a change on that transmission, and that will drop to, or the year-to-date cost will be $444,262. So that change you will see next month. And then the other cost is in the debt service, is a little higher than anticipated. And that issuance cost was $168,911.25. So that one will stay, but it was higher than anticipated. So that will be reflected in the total revenue of water. So right now it appears that we had a loss of $99,199, and that is not the case. If we go to wastewater, as Dean was just talking about, we have revenue of $1,014,422. And then with stormwater, year-to-date revenue of $73,866. Any questions on that? Good. And with utility dashboards, that's something that I assume you just read. You don't need me to read through that, or is that what Kevin usually does?
If you could read through everything in great detail and very slowly. I'm just kidding.
To ensure I'm never invited back. Yes. Utility dashboards are in your packet, as are the monthly utility reports.
Since you're the expert, just looking at the focus on energy, you just want to give us a snapshot for the year?
Sure. Focus on energy. It's as you're aware, or maybe not. It costs utility a percentage of funds to go into it to participate. As a municipal utility, we do have the option, although I don't think there's any municipal utilities in the state that are not participating. Co-ops have the option, and investor-owns do not. So we participate in there. We end up paying about $55,000 a year to participate, and that makes our customers eligible for incentives and help on various energy efficiency programs and renewable energy. And with my goal as my role in sustainability is to get back $2 for every $1 that we send out. And as you can see, this year we're at $155,000 return, and we still have a month or so to go. So we're doing all right.
Nice work.
Thanks.
Well, that's it. Any announcements?
I have a couple questions.
Oh.
I'll start with Mike, and then I've got one for Dean. But I've just been over curious if the hailstorm, what that did to any solar facilities on roofs. Sorry.
Yeah, it did damage some solar panels, just like it damaged a lot of roofs. So what we saw is a lot of insurance claims, and most of those panels, from what I've heard from customers, are insured, so they're able to have them replaced. I'm sure there could be some outliers out there that were not. What I am seeing is because of those new roofs that are going in, that is a good time to put solar on a roof. So we're seeing an uptick in solar installations because of the new roofs that are going on. So, it's been a pretty busy couple of months. People exploring that option. And then we're looking at it too for our municipal buildings as we are exploring getting new roofs at City Hall and the public library and Public Works.
Could you just share for the person who might be interested and maybe listening to this what it would take? If for instance, I am going to be getting a new roof in the spring or summer, what incentives are there? And
Yeah. Again, Focus on Energy, they have incentives for those customers to participate. They keep those numbers pretty close to their vest until January 15th or so. So we don't really know what they're offering until a little bit into the next year. But a typical homeowner, they would put on a solar array that would be equivalent to, let's say, their needs, maybe a 6 kilowatt system that you might see at the Habitat for Humanity homes. You'd probably get somewhere around $3,000 from Focus on Energy. River Falls Municipal Utilities, we do offer an incentive from that matches it up to $1,000. We do have we're considered rural by Focus on Energy, so there's a bonus from their end. So we do incentivize it. We want people to utilize renewable energy, but at the same time, what we're trying to do is make those homes more energy efficient from the beginning. So it is required that you have a home performance test prior, so you are encouraged to become as efficient as possible, so you're not buying a bigger array than you need to. And that's worked out pretty good. So we've done a lot of energy assessments on homes, and there's been a lot of work being done on that. So if a customer wanted to say get a new roof in the spring, they would get a couple of bids from local installers or Minnesota installers. We've got probably 6 or so different contractors that regularly do work here. When they have that assessment, or when they get those bids, then they're usually contacting me, and then they get an interconnection agreement, and they start the process once they decided they want to go with this, or array X or Y. And then it goes through the chain of command, whether it's permitting, whether it's the utilities in Wayne, whether it's billing. So we're all in the know of what's going on and when. It is a little bit of a challenge because we have a lot of Minnesota installers, and when they come over to Wisconsin, Focus on Energy is not a Minnesota thing. So there's some learning curves that usually occurs. And then they get that rebate from both Focus on Energy and us, and then they're off to the races. But that dollar amount changes from what they're going to get from Focus on Energy. But right now, the typical home is seeing a rate of return on investment of between 9 and 12 years.
excellent. That was really good.
Thanks.
My other question, Dean, I'm just curious. I know what they do to hydrants in the spring, but I saw in your monthly report they're getting them ready for winter. And what did they actually do?
So what we do for winter, all of our hydrants have a drain hole in them. So you use them, shut them off, and they drain into the ground. The ones that are in high groundwater areas stay full until we get kind of frozen, I guess, until the groundwater drops. And we have to pump them, and we have to keep pumping them until they're empty, basically below the frost line. If there's a couple feet in the bottom, that's fine. But so every year we go through and we check every hydrant to see if there's any water in them. We pump them, The ones that needed to be pumped, we wait a couple weeks, we go back, check them again. They need to be pumped again. We do have like, what is it, South Wasson, that road by the rodeo and stuff? That's high groundwater. So we do have, you can plug them. So we have gone through there and plugged most of them. And we have a list of the ones that we always have to pump. And this summer, we're gonna get back on that list. And we did a bunch, we probably did a dozen or so last summer. And we're just gonna keep until we don't have any more that'll fill up. But then we have to pump those every year. But then it's just pump them once and they're done. So we go through that process in the fall and just make sure there's none. The one at the engineering firm out on South Boston, can't think of the name of it, Ogden. We used to have to put food grade antifreeze in there every year because it would never come down. So, but it got plugged this summer, so that one's good. So that's what we do for hydrants in the winter, to winterize them. I am trying to figure out, Edina bags theirs. I don't know why. Every one of them have a bag on them. And I want to figure out why. And I think it might be just salt, so they don't get, I don't know. I don't know why it is.
Hastings does that too, but yeah, I was curious. I would guess it's just the salt at the surface that they want to keep
They don't
corrosion
like- yeah.
down, but
But my son was there and I thought of it. He didn't know why. But I might call and ask somebody, maybe, I'm not sure. I don't know if the guys want us to bag them all. They might get mad about that.
Anything else?
I do an
One
announcement.
One last thing.
Oh, go ahead.
So, Mike, to you. So, talking about the focus on energy and the influx of solar installers and options, I know I had my door knocked on half a dozen times by folks from I have no idea where. But it sounds like for residents who want to take advantage of the best offer available to them, they want to use a Wisconsin-based installer.
Not necessarily. There's some quality installers on the west side of the river. It's just a little bit more knowledge of how to utilize the programs and how our PSC is different than Minnesota's. So interconnection agreements are a little bit different. So it's a little bit more clunky, but they seem to put in some quality stuff. And there are some that are knocking on doors. There's a company out there that is busy selling solar options, and we try to work with those guys too.
Thanks.
Those get mounted how? And then the shingles come after that?
That's a good question. Shingles, everything gets put on your roof, and then that solar can go afterwards. They don't go up at the same time. It doesn't seem to. I mean, the roofers and the solar. That's a tough to coordinate that. So it works out just fine. There's a number of different ways to bracket it, but generally it's going right through that shingle, and it's a pretty proven technology, so you're not causing roof leaks and damage. But yeah, there's a number of different ways to do it, but roof goes on first, and then that solar anytime afterwards. The announcement would be that Kevin and the rest of the utilities want to show our appreciation. So there is some coffee and cider over there, some cookies. So please enjoy that after the meeting.
Anything else? All right. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
move to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.